Hi, my name is Katie Virtue, and I'm a consultant with Festive Road. We're on a mission to create better travel and meetings management. I'm at GBTA Convention and in conversation with David McNeill from Enterprise and National, and we're talking about the macro trends affecting travel programs. Thank you for being here, David. Nice to see you.
It's a pleasure. Great to be here.
So, of the 8 trends that we have, which one have you chosen to talk about?
I've chosen the first one. To be honest, I could probably talk about several of them, but I think the whole idea of dispersed workforces has really resonated in our industry in so many different ways. And as the business came back, we probably were a little bit at the forefront of that. So that's the one I want to focus on today.
Okay. And why do you think that is so impactful to our industry, as you just mentioned?
Well, from a ground transportation point of view, what we saw very early on is that people still needed to travel, but they were a little bit shy to travel on flights and rail and so on. So they turned to ground. But of course, what we've seen in the last sort of 2 to 3 years is that a kind of employee dispersal has happened. A lot of folks, and our own firm included, those that work outside the branch network, are maybe working from home, they may be occasionally in the office. So actually the commute to the office now is business travel for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And so how do you access that? How do you encourage people to come in the office? So will they bring their own vehicle? Is that fit for purpose? Is it green? Is it sustainable? All those sorts of things. So that side of the business has changed dramatically. So people that used to commute now are business travelers. So I think dispersed workforces, people in the travel programs has got to start thinking about how do I serve that proportion rather than thinking flight, hotel, car, rail. It's how do we meet?
Right. And then you probably get a lot of newer travelers, people who have might not had to travel for work before, and they might not know what to do, how to book, any of that. Yeah.
And that is about then giving them better tools. I think, be it tools provided by the end provider or the TMC, is to make the experience better, easier, quicker, and give them confidence. Because one of the things that we saw, and it kind of trips into one or two of your other trends around customer experience, is that people are getting on a plane, getting on a train, getting in a car, as much frictionless travel as possible. And how do we help to enable that? So, but the new people come into the workforce, or people who've never traveled into the office very frequently before, you've got to put better tools in their hands to make that happen.
Right. And so then how are you approaching this trend that, is so prevalent now in organizations?
So what we've tried to do is, everybody's digitalized the experience, but actually you've got to think about the user experience and also the employee experience as well, because we know that there is a bit of a war for talent, so you want to make sure that the employees can work comfortably within that. So the first thing we did, obviously as a rental industry, is make sure the cars are clean, sanitized, and that's never going to go away. So you kind of up the level, and then putting tools into people's hands to say, I'm going to make this transaction really easy. And that's not so much just about kind of loyalty programs, but it's about how to know me, know my preferences, make it easy. And Enterprise, one of the things we never started at the airports. We started home city, downtown.
Right.
So what about access to vehicles? You don't want people having to travel to an airport to get a rental car when there might be one on the street around the corner. So think about how can you give them access to what is in their neighborhood and make it easy for them to do that.
Sounds like there almost might be this shift where ground wasn't always the most prevalent area within an organization. It was very much air, but now there's an opportunity for ground to be, much more considered.
I think that's right. We saw, as in all the categories, we probably had the quickest return to travel for some of the reasons I explained. But more than that, I think people are focused on actually managing ground in their policy, because before it was to a large degree user choose it. Do what you like because it'll work. Now it's will I have availability? What about reporting, expense management, all those things? So bringing them in more to the managed program rather than say there are 4 or 5 suppliers, go pick what you want.
Yeah, makes sense. So what then recommendations would you make to buyers? Give them any advice about how to approach this within their program?
I think the first thing I would say, and everybody's living in an environment today where car rental availability is tight. For all the reasons that we know in terms of manufacturers not building the cars, the war in Ukraine and chip shortages and things like that. So engage. Early engagement is really important. The RFP process will always be there, but certainly from what we've seen is pre-engagement, helping helping the other providers understand what it is you actually want to achieve, what is your goal, what are you, and culturally, do you align? And I think we talk about early engagement in the RFP, but that's, in my mind, that starts 6 to 12 months before the process. Because the process should be, we've got here because we understand, we've done the due diligence, we understand the 3 or 4 people we could work with. Now, what does a good program look like for me? And it won't just be based on economics. It'll also be based on things like availability and all the other things that we discussed.
Great. Well, thank you for that tip and for your insights around that macroscope trend and talking to us today.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us and listening to these insights, and we hope that you will help us continue to create better for travel and meetings management.